on the Jersey Baseball Show. We are here with Zach Stichweh from Don Bosco Prep. We've got a great show for you talking about Zach's background and most unique story. Welcome, Zach. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's talk, because you just took your official visit recently to the University of Maryland. Congratulations. You kind of going into a great situation there next year to college, P5, Big Ten, relatively close by, but playing for a school that has had a strong history, especially recently. Going with a couple of Jersey guys, Kyle McCoy, who we'll have on the show in the next couple weeks as well, and one of your close friends, Devin Russell. So let's talk about how excited you are for your college journey, or your journey to continue there.
I couldn't be more thankful for the opportunity that I get to play there. It kind of worked itself out in a matter of fate. To start my journey with Maryland, it was my freshman year of high school. It was around February. We were down visiting my grandparents, my mom's side of the family, who happened to live in South Jersey. And I reached out to Carter at Tri-State Arsenal because I needed to throw a bullpen the next day. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Just come in. We'll take a little video, get you on the gun. And so I went in, I threw a bullpen. I topped 85, which is pretty solid for a freshman, but I had more in the tank later on in the year. So then that led to me ending up playing with them over the summer. And in my first ever event with them, I ended up starting the game, and I pitched, I think, 4 innings scoreless, and Coach Swope, the hitting coach at Maryland, saw me. And that was how I first got on their radar. And they were actually there to see a kid on the other team. The funniest part, I think it was either Caleb S. or Cam Johnson. Caleb's a shortstop in my class, and Cam Johnson actually recently decommitted, and he's going to LSU now. So that started it, and then they followed me really closely for the next, honestly, 8 months or so. And during that time, I started getting a little bit more attention from other schools, bigger programs, other names. But the thing that stuck out to me most about Maryland was the sheer investment of time and care that they put into all of their recruits prior to them even reaching the campus, prior to them even being committed. If you're being recruited by Maryland, they're looking at you for more than just your athletic prowess. They care to see who you are as a young man, how you're doing academically, what your responsibilities are, what your goals are, what drives you, what makes you tick. They really do a great job at vetting who they bring in. And I think that reflects in the classes that they brought in the past 2 years and are going to be bringing in within the next 2-3 years. So Coach Corey Muscara, who is actually now at Wake Forest, was the guy that was integral in me ending up in Maryland. He had a very, very close relationship with my pitching coach, Jim Wadika. They both pitched at St. John's and developed a working relationship there. And Jim had actually sent a couple pitchers to him. One who transferred out, Connor Stain, he's down in Florida now. And Ryan Ramsey, who's still at Maryland shoving. But yeah, so that was Maryland. It was a lot of factors that played into it.
Yeah. So so you were at Seton Hall Prep then, right? You were there your first 2 years of high school.
Yes.
Said that you had a great 9th grade year in school, right? You said that you had the chance to pitch against most of your Don Bosco buddies now, and did all right against them.
Yeah. The biggest reason why I left Seton Hall Prep was I actually placed into an academic program there called the Seton Scholars Program. And it was just ridiculously difficult. My grades were fine. That wasn't the issue. It was just the time constraints, because I realized that I had to take the next step when it came to my training with baseball, whether it be in the weight room or on the bullpen, tweaking my mechanics. I know that I needed more time to dedicate towards that, where I was getting 4 to 5 hours of homework every single night and probably at least 2 or 3 quizzes each day. And it just wasn't working out for me there. But yeah, other than that, Don Bosco was the best decision I made.
What is it about the environment there, the class that you're playing with? You're part of what most people who I guess, study or experts on this say certainly are the number one team in New Jersey going into the season, probably one of the best in the East Coast and the country. But beyond that, what was, when you say it's one of the best decisions you've ever made, knowing you a little bit, that means it probably goes certainly beyond just baseball.
It definitely does go beyond just baseball. And I don't want to talk about like preseason rankings or any of that, because they were saying that last year for us. We definitely probably were the best paper, but it just didn't work out because there was kind of just some weird situations that went on. And we ended up facing St. Joe's Regional, who were just amazing, full of talented kids, gritty kids that are just going to go up, do whatever they need to get that win. And played them 4 times, lost 3 out of 4 times, but it was a great game every single time. But Don Bosco, in addition to having a great baseball program under Coach Rooney, Coach Dwyer, Coach Wadika, and Coach Shalalia, it's just an amazing environment. I don't want to come off as a spokesperson for the school, but I can sell it a little bit. The biggest difference I've noticed is the teachers and faculty, they really, really care. And that's actually, unfortunately, kind of rare when it comes to the education system, whether it be public or private. They will take the time to, if you ask them one day, stay an extra hour after class with you. They'll always come around and try to make sure you're on track. It's just, you step on the campus, and we are fortunate enough to have a legitimate campus. We got 4 different buildings, a pond, ton of athletic fields. It's just gorgeous. Every morning, even when it's 24 degrees, you're happy to be there. You're walking down from the parking lot with your buddies, or you're going to hang out with them somewhere before class. And it's just a great place. It really feels like home. And that's what everyone says that graduates. That's what most of the teachers and former students say. And I really was fortunate enough to understand that last year and this year.
Yeah. And especially going through, a COVID year where everything was different. I'm sure it feels even better to have that. I don't want to say normalcy yet, but just kind of that place where you're going every day where you get that feeling.
Yeah, not quite normalcy yet, but I think the biggest thing that was a huge factor in really helping me develop a love for the school was that we were the, I believe, only school that was fully open in Bergen County last year. We were there starting from the beginning of the school year, 5 days a week. And the only time people would ever go on Zoom is they actually gave us the option last year if we wanted to go on Zoom, or if someone actually had COVID and then they had to join Zoom. But other than that, everything was in person 100%. They put in protocols. They shortened the classrooms. They added extended learning areas where you would actually go to limit the amount of students in the classroom at one time. You would join the class via Zoom. But yeah, it was, they figured it out. And now we're all back to normal. Just the only thing that's still hanging over is the masks.
Yeah, that might be for a while. So your story is unique, literally right from the beginning, right? You were not born here. You were not born in North Jersey. You were born in Russia.
Yes. I was born in a small town. I believe it was called Komsomolsk. And then I was sent to the orphanage in Habarsk. And this is kind of close to Manchuria, China, right across the river, like 2 miles southwest, and I would have been Chinese.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, that in itself is crazy. That I didn't know. But you were adopted age 10 months, right before your first birthday.
Yep.
Your parents deserve an amazing amount of credit for your story, obviously. You ever think about, I mean, I guess it's different because you probably don't remember much of those first 10 months, I wouldn't think. But still, what could have been if it weren't for them?
Probably would have been poverty in the post-USSR Russian climate in not a very wealthy area.
Yeah.
So there's that. And on the other hand, I'm here where I am. I'm living an incredibly fortunate life that's been gifted to me by 2 loving parents.
Where did the love of baseball then came from your father, and
the most ironic thing about that, the first time they ever met me in the orphanage, they brought me out in baseball pajamas. It was a little baseball onesie, and for some reason it was pink because I guess they don't differentiate boy colors from girl colors over there. But it was
Yeah.
pink and it had gloves and bats on it. And then they brought me home, and my dad, he played baseball all the way through high school, and it was his favorite game. He loves it. He's a diehard Yankees fan. He instilled that in me as well. But he really fed it to me. And from the time I could walk, me and him, as far as I can remember, would always go out back and play catch, go out back and hit like a wiffle ball or something. And he, to this day, is still one of the most important people when it comes to my development and re-strengthening my arm, because sometimes I don't have the time necessarily to go somewhere and go throw and go do all my routine. And he's always just like, all right, stretch out. I'll be home from work in 10 minutes. You and me can go to the field. You can get your long toss in. I'm still leaning on him more than he realizes.
It's amazing to have that bond too that you'll always have. I mean, it's kind of Field of Dreams-ish, I guess, in a way, right? It's you know, it's the best part about that movie is the amount of truth to it. You know, it's
that last scene of Field of Dreams, it always gets me. I always break down crying because it just reminds me of playing catch out back with my dad. And I really can't think of anything better than that. Whenever I have a bad day, that's all I look forward to.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned something kind of in passing in that with the re-strengthening of your elbow. That you know, again, obviously, a lot of people watching this will know, but we hope so many people watch this that they don't know your full story. You got a very unique situation in that you senior committed to a major D1 program that you know, an NCAA qualifier, Big Ten, high level baseball, and you've only thrown 3 varsity innings in your high school career, right? And those 3 innings were under a lot of were not under ideal circumstances,
to say the least.
Yeah.
So my junior fall, so following the COVID year,
right.
There was so much that led up to it that I can't pinpoint it on one thing, but I actually ended up very luckily only with a strain of my UCL. And I saw Dr. Ahmad. He works with the Yankees primarily, and he gave me 3 rounds of PRP shots in my elbow, and I've been rehabbing it ever since. I finally called it quits in May of last year, after I crapped the bed against Bergen Catholic and gave up like 3 runs. And I was just in absolute tremendous pain the entire time, because what I did was my very genius self. I injured my arm my fall of junior year, and then I decided it would be a good idea. Oh, let me go through all pitching training in the winter. Let me go through the entire spring season. I can play through it. It's nothing. It's fine. It'll be better. And I think there was another part of me, kind of a deep down nagging voice, like, if you don't play this year, then what are you? You got to prove, like, oh, you're a Division I commit. You have to go out and try to prove to yourself and everybody else. I think it was more trying to prove to myself. I think it was kind of an egotistical move. And I really think letting go of that ego was big in me really reaching out for help and really understanding, hey, I'm injured. I need to go see somebody. I need to take time off, and I need to get this right. But it couldn't have happened at a better time, which is the funny thing about it. Happened a couple of weeks and even months later than I don't know where I'd be at for spring this year, or let alone coming to campus at Maryland and next year.
Yeah. And so, you know, what about the role that, I mean, you've done your rehab or most of your work at Power Arm Ramsey, right?
I've actually done most of my rehab. I worked with Greg Spatz and Resilient out of the Annex in Chatham.
Okay. Yep.
The Annex, great place. Resilient, amazing physical therapy program. Those guys really know what they're doing. And I actually went through them because they were the first people Dr. Ahmad recommended to me. And I've had friends that have gone through the same PRP shot procedure with their arms, gone through rehab with Resilient, and came back throwing way better than they did before. I don't know if you know Ryan Sprock. He's a pitcher at Seton Hall going to Elon. Yep. That kid's a stud. He was having the same issue as I was, chronic pain. And so he went and saw Ahmad. He got his strain fixed, and then he rehabbed it with Greg out of the Annex. And he's been 93, 94, just an absolute animal ever since. So I had a lot of faith in their program going in.
And you've been throwing some of your best since, I mean, not 100% obviously yet, but still as far as efficiency and movement. And I think you mentioned you got yourself in a little bit better shape over during this
Yeah,
rehab
just
period.
a little bit.
No more big.
No more big Zach. I think that was one of the biggest contributing factors. And when people look at arm injuries, they're like, what was the immediate cause? Arm injuries don't just happen overnight. They don't necessarily happen with one thing. It comes from a string of bad habits and bad procedural ideas. And I know that happened. It started over quarantine with me, when we were all at home, kind of stuck in our house, and I couldn't do much. I know my sleep schedule was jacked up. My diet was jacked up. I wasn't doing what was necessary to keep my body in shape and keep everything in check. I truthfully, I got lazy, I got complacent, and I paid the price for it. And so all throughout summer, didn't necessarily feel the best, but it was still there. It was still good. And then fall season, you'll see, I made a lot of immature, egotistical decisions last 2-3 years ago. So I decided it would be a good idea after 3 weeks of not throwing to go out and throw 90 pitches, just out of the blue, just because why not? And that was when it really kind of felt like the beginning of the end of normalcy in my arm.
Of you? Yeah.
And then it was kind of the weak rest of the fall. The only other upside was I went and played with Kane's American down at the WWBA. And that was my last event because my arm was just absolutely shot by that point. And I'm fortunate for that because we got a ring out of it and we got to meet the Morissettes. Wagner is going to be going to Maryland with me. He's another right-handed pitcher. He's from North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a great guy.
Yeah, it's you I know you're being tough on yourself and saying these are egotistical. How much of it you think was, you're playing with all these guys at Don Bosco that, have the, Cade and Dana, obviously, Kevin Jackson, who's recovering as well.
Mm-hmm.
You got a couple of other guys who are major D1 commits, and you're sort of the new guy still in that, you didn't kind of come up with them. You came up as an opponent. And I mean, was it that you felt like you had to prove it in your mind? I don't know if it's prove it to yourself that you belong there or prove it to them that you belong there.
You see, I'd say it was prove it to them, but I actually thought about that for a long time, and it was more trying to prove to myself that I belonged there.
Yeah.
Because there was definitely, knowing that I was injured, knowing I was out of shape, that definitely took a hit on my psyche. And I think I felt like I needed to go out there and just try at least. But it was hard, truthfully, to admit that I needed to recover because I was really jacked up. And I have trouble admitting when I need help for a lot of things, whether it be academically, etc. But this was big. That was pretty big. It definitely was a more proving to myself that I belonged there situation.
Yeah. And now you're throwing like I said, you're most efficient, best movement, right? And I think we're pretty optimistic of that leading to, what you were doing before might have got you noticed and signing with Maryland. But I mean, there's when you're hitting low 90s, but there's a lot more left in the tank, that's got to be a good feeling.
Oh yeah, it's leaves you just pumped to keep working, pumped to go in there every single day and just grind it out. And truthfully, I owe the efficiency to Andrew Ojeda at Power Arm. He stresses mobility, and I really think that is a very important factor and honestly overlooked by most young athletes, especially pitchers. I get weird looks when kids see me almost able to do a full split, but I'm just like, it's what I can do.
Yeah, and you look at there's some guys, down this way, Mike Adams over at BPC,
Mm-hmm.
training everybody that is he's about 5'9", 5'10", 170. He's up in the triple digits. It's everybody is just bigger or more mass, and that's true to a point. But if
efficient is the right mentality.
Yeah, and it'll be a great to see. I'm sure you're, excited to go through the ramp up into the season. Probably going to be tough to contain your excitement to get going. But what are the goals for this year?
Goals for this year, to be able to throw without pain. But I mean, we're already there.
Yeah, so that's been accomplished, I think.
I mean, I don't want to set any ridiculous goals, but I want to go out there and I want to be able to impact Don Bosco baseball. I want to help be a key member of that team and our fortunately very talented pitching staff, and hopefully see where that goes. I'm not going to jump the gun because ever since I transferred, all the kids were like, "Oh, we're going to win the state this year." Didn't work out that way, but I think we got a good shot at going pretty deep this year.
Yeah, had to be rough last year, I guess, especially not just the physical pain, but kind of the pain or feeling of, the team needed an extra arm or needed something to kind of get everything right, and just not being there was just no way you could contribute it the way that you're capable of contributing.
Yes, that was painful. Truthfully, seeing your team struggle, seeing your team take your lumps, and even though you're not necessarily like a member that's as invested because you haven't been there as long, it hurts because these are still your friends that you've known for years. Yeah. And you still want to go and succeed. And there's always that deep sense of urge of, I need to win. And when you're in a situation that you can't go out and win or even go out and compete, it's really difficult.
For sure. A couple other things we picked up, animal cruelty. That's something that's become an important thing for you.
I'd say the biggest thing for me is animal cruelty, and that kind of plays in with environmental climate change for me, which I see as two of the most, if not the single most pressing matters facing my generation in particular, because it's something that we're starting to see ramifications of.
Yeah. So how did that become, 17-year high school senior baseball player D1? That's not usually the number one. And I'm not saying it's your number one thought, but it's not usually a thing for most. So where did that come from?
I really don't know. I just started doing research on my own time. And I think the thing for me was I noticed year after year, the fall and the spring seemed shorter and shorter, which are kind of those in between months. Like I know this was the first year that it's happened in a while, but the leaves change colors and they stayed different colors for many, many weeks. I know for the past like 4 or 5 years, they've just gone brown and fallen off probably within the span of a week. And then that got me researching pollution. And then that obviously led down the rabbit hole of what are the biggest pollutants, what tends to contribute the most harmful carbon into the atmosphere. And it comes back to, honestly, the farm system that we have for meat in this country, which is unsustainable. And it's the way the animals are kept is absolutely appalling. And that's actually why I've made the shift. I don't really get most of my protein, which I actually need on my regimen. I don't really eat meat. I'll eat maybe chicken once a week or salmon once a month. But other than that, I stay away from red meat. I stay away from pork. I stay away from beef because I've seen videos, and I actually have a friend who I grew up with who owns a farm where they slaughter cattle and pigs down in North Carolina now. Yeah. And it's just disturbing to me.
I guess we could probably also make the correlation to you being in the best shape you've ever been too, but that would be I guess a side benefit that probably wasn't what you were wasn't what the plan was, but you're able to keep the diet where you need to be, obviously, with protein and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, and it was more limiting the refined carbohydrates. I had a thing for bagels. I liked bagels a lot.
Yeah, breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack. That might be too much, right?
Yeah, 2 or 3 bagels a day. It's not good.
No. Couple random questions here for you. You already kind of spilled the beans on your favorite team earlier.
Not feeling good. Not feeling good about it.
I wouldn't think, right? Maybe by the time this actually airs, you will. But favorite Yankee?
All time or current?
Both.
Mo. You got to go with Mo. There's no other answer.
You definitely better, right?
I actually was fortunate enough to meet Mariano Rivera when I was 10 years old. He ran a tournament out of the facility that I used to train out of, and he's just a great guy. He took the time to come up to each and every one of the little 10-year-old teams running around, introduce himself, talk with all of us. And really his pitching style is just unmatched. I've read so many books on him. I've read his books. He's an excellent guy. And more than baseball, he has the right values, and definitely a key part that really instilled the importance of family in me. And just somebody I admire all around, in addition to being just the absolute animal he was when he played.
Yeah. I love his pitch. To me, it was just, I know, what's coming, and I know what I'm throwing, and I throw it better than you can hit it, and I can throw it wherever I want, and there's nothing you're going to do, it's just.
And that's not even arrogance. That's confidence.
No. Yeah,
that's just extreme confidence.
That's what I was going to say. It's the way he carries himself is shows that it's confidence. I mean, he literally believes that. You don't believe it, I think it's arrogance, but he believed it. He walked it. He was the man, and unfortunately,
and he was also never the guy to go around toting it. He was always the guy to keep it quiet. It was that brings me back to Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly, carry big stick.
Is that you on the mound?
I'm more the guy that's thinking, I'm going to put this down your throat, and I know this is not going to be touched. But last year, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, well, you're healthy now. So let's, that confidence on the mound still goes a long way. Favorite, if you could be D1 in something other than baseball, another sport.
Hockey. Hockey is my second favorite sport, without a doubt.
So that is the Russian blood in you.
Yeah, it is the Russian blood. There's just something to say, like the fact that those guys can stay on those skates, keep up that pace for the entire game, and manage to control the stick with the puck. Oh, it's ridiculous. It's a beautiful game, and it's awesome to watch.
Absolutely.
That's why the movie Miracle upsets me. The Russians should have won.
The only person that I have ever spoken to who said that, yes, but that's all right. I understand.
Great underdog story, but I got to support the motherland,
That's right. That's right. If everyday activities were Olympic sports, what would you get a gold medal in?
Sleeping.
Because of length of sleep, ability to fall asleep whenever, what gives you that gold? What gives you the right to say that you're a gold medal sleeper?
Quality of sleep.
Okay.
But other than that, it would be the other gold medal would probably be in changing my outfit 7 times a day.
Favorite music?
Ooh, I'm a heavy death metal guy lately. But other than that, I'm honestly a big groove or thrash metal guy. But that's not my go-to. I'm a big country guy in my spare time.
Kind of diverse, but that's you, right? That's good.
All over the place. I'll listen to whatever you put on, just not pop.
As long as it's good.
As long as it's tolerable.
That's right. That's right. Last question.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're still close enough to it, but what was your favorite Halloween costume ever growing up?
I have been dressed up for Halloween in probably 5-6 years. It wasn't really my favorite holiday, but I gotta say, I think it was Jack Sparrow from the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Nice.
I had a little hat that had a built-in wig. I had like the full 1700s garbs, the little plastic sword that I couldn't bring to school because it's like a no weapon policy.
Sure.
But that was definitely that or Indiana Jones were the best costumes I had growing up.
Don't you know, pump it up, you got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up, you got to pump it up.